Hi, my name is Reatha Butler. We're here for our Two Things segment for Pikes Peak Association of Realtors, the Public Policy Committee. I want to let you know that our next meeting will be August 14th, 2023 at 8:30 in the boardroom on the main level. Today, I have with me our Vice Chair, Debbie Howes. Thank you, Debbie, for joining us today. And then also our esteemed guest, I will say that. Our esteemed guest is Steve Schleiker with the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Office. So, Steve, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining our time together. We just always have a really exciting time. What were the key things that came out of our meeting today that you want to kind of share with our realtor population?
Sure. First thing is the term esteemed and Steve Schleiker have been synonymous. I never heard that, in the same sentence, but I appreciate the compliment. There was a lot of things. Humbly, the public voted me in as their new clerk recorder, and I got sworn in back in January. So I am 6 months into my first term as our clerk recorder, and we have been extremely busy. And I thought, what I would share with you, I'll bring you up to speed, is some of the things that I've changed in over the 6 months.
Okay. One
of the things that I felt and still feel very important is property fraud. And, those of us that have been in the real estate community completely understand, folks taking advantage of filing a quit claim deed, a beneficiary deed, a warranty deed, all the different numbers and kinds of deeds that we deal with. But as your former county assessor, I did find 3 fraudulent cases. If you sit there and take a look at the number of parcels we have, that is a very small number, very small percentage. But to me, is if you're the victim, you're the one that's paying a lot of money to try to clear up your title. But in April, what we started here in El Paso County was a fraud protection program. So if there is a quit claim deed, beneficiary deed, warranty deed filed on your property, is we are reaching out to the original grantor at the original address via letter asking the property owner if they initiated this.
Okay.
If they did not, then what we're doing is we're going to be turning it over to the district attorney's office, which I have a investigator on my payroll that is investigating these. And, if it warrant to be a fraudulent deed, then we are going to go ahead and prosecute.
So what should a consumer, homeowner be looking out for? When are they more vulnerable? I know we were talking about when the house is paid off. When are they most vulnerable to something like this?
Sadly, people that want to commit fraud, they target our elderly, our senior citizens, because they don't have an encumbrance on the property.
Okay.
And what they're looking at is either to try to assume ownership or to take out a loan against the property that's been paid off. Which is very easy, because if you have an encumbrance on there, then your mortgage company is like, we're not going to
checks and balances.
Checks and balances. But they go after our senior community to do that. And so we are basically going to set up, like I said, we set up the fraud protection program. But I want El Paso County to have the reputation, don't do it here. You're going to get caught. And, and there's going to be, quite a bit penalty to, because there's an individual that was caught and they tried to assume ownership of 7 parcels up off of 19th and Uinta.
Wow.
And that person today is spending 15 years in prison.
Okay, so I hear on the radio all the time, particularly AM radio, about, why don't you pay for this title fraud insurance? Why don't you do this? But is that kind of the same thing, or what are we giving our citizens as
It is. And, and the thing is, what citizens don't understand, and thank you for allowing me to get the word out, is when you pay $100 a month or $125 a month to have home title theft and, things like that, is we all have to understand, where do they get that information? It's your county clerk and recorder. And the consumer doesn't need to pay for it. This is information that already resides in the governmental databases in the recording department. And these are folks that sit there and pay to get this data out. Then they reach out to the citizens and charge them monthly. We could do that for free.
But what do I do once it's already happened? I mean, I feel like a lot of times I won't know this until I'm trying to sell my house, or I've died and my estate is now all muddled up. So what can I do as a best practice? Do I check in, to a site? Do I call and check on my ownership? What can I do just as a lay person?
That is an awesome question. I always recommend to property owners to go to your county assessor's website quarterly and, take a look at the ownership. You can also go on to my website, Clerk and Recorder's website, and you can look to see if there's anything been placed or filed on your property. But just knowing that if anything is filed on your property without you being notified or, even knowing that it's going on, you will be now notified.
Excellent. I love that. So Debbie, anything you wanted to add or ask with regard to that?
Well, Steve, in your first 6 months, what have you seen as far as trends on recordings? Where do you see the most recordings?
Debbie, first 6 months I've been under the desk in a fetal position. So it's like, in recordings, a lot of marriage licenses. We're seeing that marriages going up. And most on Saturdays, people coming from out of country and out of state that are coming here to get married. I'm starting to see real estate transactions tick up. For the first 6 months, they were pretty, down on e-recording from our title companies and things like that, but that's starting to tick up, which is a good sign. But I have a feeling if interest rates stay steady or even come down, things are going to be picking up. We're going to go into those refis and things like that. So a lot of us marriage licenses and also property.
Well, thank you, Steve, for joining us. It was an honor to have you as a special guest. And this is just to remind you that August 14th, 8:30 in the main boardroom in our association building is our next public policy meeting, and you're welcome to come. Thank you, and have a great day.